The rain pelts against the windows of Foster and Associates, each drop another reminder that December in Oregon offers no mercy. I shift in the cold steel chair, my fingertips tracing the smooth edge of the conference table, while Mr. Foster's monotonous voice recites the contents of Dad's will. Across from me, Dylan lounges in his chair, his Italian suit probably worth more than my monthly salary. His attention fixed on his phone screen, scrolling with practiced indifference. The estate shall be divided equally between my children, Allison Marie Blake and Dylan James Blake. Mr. Foster drones on, his wire-rimmed glasses slipping down his nose. Stop. Dylan's voice cuts through the air like a blade. This is wrong. My heart stutters. I watch my brother's face transform from boredom to something darker, something I recognize from childhood tantrums when he didn't get his way. I'm the real child here. The words fall between us like stones. Mr. Foster's voice trails off, confusion creasing his forehead. The silence stretches, broken only by the steady drum of rain. Excuse me? The lawyer peers over his glasses. Dylan's eyes lock onto mine, cold and triumphant. She's adopted, I'm blood, everything should be mine. My wedding ring clicks against the conference table as my hands begin to tremble. Dad's last words echo in my ears, his voice weak but certain in that sterile hospital room. You're my daughter, Allie. Always remember that. Mr. Foster clears his throat. Mr. Blake, under Oregon inheritance law, adopted children have the same legal rights as biological children. Your father's will clearly states. She manipulated him for years. Dylan slams his hand on the table. His perfect facade cracks, revealing the familiar rage underneath. All those family dinners, those little heart-to-hearts, she played him like a fiddle while I was building my career in Portland. Dad loved us both equally. My voice comes out steadier than I feel. Dylan's lips curl into a sneer. You were never his real daughter. The words yank me back 3 days to the funeral home. The scent of lilies thickened my nose as I arranged flowers alone, making sure everything was perfect for Dad. Dylan arrived an hour late, complaining about traffic from Portland. I watched him check his watch during the eulogy, saw him texting while I thanked mourners and accepted condolences. Now, studying his face across the conference table, something shifts inside me. A lifetime of making peace, of smoothing things over, of being the responsible one while Dylan took and took and took. Mr. Foster. My voice cuts through Dylan's continued rant about blood ties. I have a proposal. Dylan's mouth snaps shut, his eyes narrowing. I'll renounce my inheritance. The words taste like freedom. Under one condition. Allie, don't be dramatic. Dylan starts, but I hold up my hand. My condition is that you never contact me again. No calls, no texts, no showing up at my work. Complete separation. Dylan's face splits into a smirk. Finally showing your true colors. I knew you were just in it for the money. Mr. Foster adjusts his glasses. Miss Blake, I must advise you that you have legal rights here. This is a substantial inheritance. Draw up the papers. I stand, my chair scraping against the floor. I want my piece. Dylan extends his hand across the table, triumph radiating from every pore. Deal, sis. Or should I say, ex-sis. I ignore his hand and walk out. The rain soaks through my coat as I stand on the sidewalk, but I barely notice. Through the law office window, I can see our childhood home in the framed photograph on Mr. P's patient. Foster's wall, the yellow Victorian where Dad taught me to ride a bike, where he helped with my homework at the kitchen table, where he told me that family wasn't about blood, but about love. My fingers find my phone, pulling up Dad's last text message. Proud of you, sweetheart, always have been. Behind me, I hear Dylan's voice carrying through the open door, already on his phone with his broker. I close my eyes and let the rain wash away 29 years of trying to be the perfect daughter, of trying to keep the peace, of trying to love someone who never wanted to be my brother. Sometimes inheritance isn't about money. Sometimes it's about choosing what kind of person you want to be. The January wind whips around my cottage in Cannon Beach, but for once, the silence inside feels like victory. My phone screen shows Dylan's number, finally blocked after 3 weeks of incessant calls. Through the window, waves crash against Haystack Rock, nature's own white noise machine drowning out the echoes of his voice in my head. I curl deeper into Dad's old armchair, the leather worn soft from years of evening reading sessions. The cardboard box from his study sits unopened on my coffee table, delivered yesterday by Mr. Foster's assistant. I've been avoiding it, but tonight feels different. Maybe it's the storm outside, or maybe I'm finally ready to face whatever's inside. The first item I pull out stops my breath. Dad's phone, still in its battered case, with the University of Oregon sticker peeling at the corners. My fingers tremble as I press the power button, grateful he never changed his passcode from my birthday. Messages from Dylan flood the screen. Need $5,000 for investment opportunity. Come on, Dad, this is guaranteed returns. If you loved me like you love her. I scroll back further, my throat tightening. Bank statements. $15,000 transferred to Dylan's account last March. Dad's note in the memo line. Final loan, no more. A leather-bound journal falls from the box next. Dad's neat teacher's handwriting fills the pages, each entry dated and underlined like he was grading his own life. I flip to last winter. The 15th of December. Dylan came asking for money again. Found betting apps on his phone when he left it charging. My son needs to learn responsibility, but I worry. How do I help without enabling? The memory crashes over me like the waves outside. Dylan at 21, wearing his first expensive suit, explaining about cryptocurrency and sports betting algorithms. It's foolproof, Dad. I just need seed money. The way Dad's shoulders slumped when he discovered the truth 3 months later. My hands curl into fists. I'd covered for him so many times. The Christmas when Mom's jewelry disappeared, I knew. Found the pawn shop receipt in his coat while doing laundry. Told Dad it must have been a break-in while he was at the hospital with Mom. Anything to protect him from knowing the truth while he watched his wife fade away. The landline rings, jarring in the quiet room. My new number, unlisted, supposedly safe. Dylan's voice crackles through the answering machine, panic bleeding through his practiced smoothness. Allie, there are debts you don't know about. Dad's business loans, I need. The bank statements show $35,000 in business debt. $10,000 in credit cards. You tricked me with that inheritance stunt. I need the money. I watch the machine's red light blink, each flash another lie exposed. My finger hovers over the delete button, then presses firmly. His voice cuts off mid-plea. The phone rings again 20 minutes later. Aunt Patricia's number glows on the caller ID. I considered letting it go to voicemail, but she'll only keep calling. How could you abandon your brother in his time of need? Her voice drips with the same judgment she's carried since I was 10. The whole family knows what you've done, Allison, turning your back on blood. The laugh that escapes me holds no humor. They already know who I am, Aunt Patricia. They've always known. I'm the adopted one, remember? You will never let me forget. He's your brother. No, the word feels clean, like fresh snow. He's not anymore. My supervisor's face shows nothing but understanding when I request the transfer to our seaside office the next morning. Family can be complicated, she says, signing the paperwork. The petition's yours if you want it. Starts next week. A week altered, the new routine settles like a warm blanket. Different coffee shops, different jogging paths along the beach, a different phone number that only 5 people have. I tape Dad's photo to my new desk, his eyes crinkling with the same kindness I remember from every parent-teacher conference he attended, every dance recital he filmed. I kept my promise, I whisper to his smile. I chose peace. The cost tallies itself in my mind during quiet moments. My friend Sarah's weekly coffee dates, the book club I joined last spring, the comfortable familiarity of my old running route. But with each passing day, the price feels more like an investment in myself. On Wednesday, the knock comes at 10 p.m., 3 sharp raps that echo through my new apartment. I freeze at my kitchen counter, the tea bag suspended above my mug. Allie, Dylan's voice slurs through the door. Open up, we need to talk. The security chain catches when he throws his shoulder against the wood. Through the gap, I see his face, once handsome features now twisted. His eyes are bloodshot, his perfect hair disheveled. I know where you work. His words spiral into the darkness of my apartment. I'll keep coming back. You can't hide from family forever. The tea bag slips from my fingers, bleeding darkness into the water below. Outside, the waves crash against the shore, constant and unchanging. I think of Dad's journal, of 15 years of entries watching his son choose chaos over change. How far would I go to escape a toxic family? The answer rises like the tide, as far as it takes. 2 months later, at my work, the glass doors of Seaside City Hall reflect winter sunlight as I organize permit applications, each folder a small testament to order in my newly structured life. A shadow falls across my desk. I look up to find Dylan looming over the customer service counter, his Italian wool coat speckled with rain. "You can't hide from family forever." His voice carries through the quiet office like a gunshot. My fingers curl around the edge of my desk. 2 months of peace shattered in 5 words. Behind me, Sandra from Records drops her coffee mug. The ceramic breaks against linoleum, dark liquid pooling like blood. This is a government building. My voice stays steady, the way Dad taught me during debate club. "You need to leave." "Or what?" Dylan's lips curl into that familiar sneer. "Going to call security on your own brother?" I press the silent alarm button under my desk. You got what you wanted. The money, the house, everything. Blood is thicker than your selfishness. He slams his hand against the counter. A framed photo of the seaside promenade topples. Security guards appear at both ends of the lobby. Officer Martinez moves fastest, his hand steady on his radio. "Sir, you need to step away from the counter." Dylan's eyes lock onto mine. This isn't over. After he's escorted out, my supervisor touches my shoulder. "Allison, do we need to involve the police?" I stare at the scattered permit applications my careful organization destroyed. "I'll handle it." But that afternoon, I sat across from Margaret Thompson in HR, watching her note every detail in precise handwriting. The fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across her pearl necklace, a gift from 30 years of municipal service. "We're documenting everything." Margaret's pen scratches against paper. "The security cameras caught his behavior. We protect our own here." Linda from accounting brings me coffee afterward, her bright red cardigan a splash of warmth in the institutional beige hallway. "We've got your back, honey." My first husband pulled stunts like this after our divorce. Sometimes people can't handle it when you choose yourself. I clutch the paper cup, letting its heat ground me. I won't be bullied anymore. But Dylan proves me wrong that evening. He appears between the lampposts of the empty parking lot like a ghost from every woman's nightmare. My keys dig into my palm as I walk faster. Wait. His voice sounds different. Desperate. His fingers close around my arm. I'm drowning here. I wrench away, feeling the scratch of his manicured nails. "You got everything. You wanted gone." The business loans. Sweat beads on his forehead despite the cold. Dad's old debts. The investment group is asking questions. "Not my problem." His face twists. "You were never a real family anyway." The words should hurt. Instead, they crystallize something inside me. "Exactly. So leave me alone." I don't run to my car. I walk, spine straight, the way Dad taught me to leave a losing debate with dignity. In my rearview mirror, Dylan's figure grows smaller, diminished by distance and my refusal to flinch. The next morning, Linda meets me at my car, silver hair gleaming in the dawn light. "Good morning, sunshine. Thought you might like company." She's there every morning after that. The security guards learn Dylan's black BMW on site. My neighbors in the little beachside complex start to see suspicious vehicles. Dr. Rodriguez, my therapist, helps me understand that accepting support isn't a weakness in the days to come. Setting boundaries is like building a house, she says, her voice warm as sunlight through her office windows. You need a strong foundation and good materials. You need help raising the walls. I take her advice. The cease and desist letter goes out on heavy cream paper, the law firm's letterhead a shield of respectability, HR files formal trespass documentation. The security footage transfers to a thumb drive, irrefutable evidence of Dylan's spiral. When the papers are served at his Portland investment firm, I imagine the crack in his perfect facade. His colleagues are watching, his reputation splintered like that coffee mug on the city hall floor. Aunt Patricia calls that night, her voice sharp with judgment. You're destroying the family. No, I think of the filing cabinet in my home office, stuffed with evidence of Dylan's harassment, screenshots of his social media posts showing new watches and sports cars while he pleads poverty. Bank statements proving my clean hands. Dylan's destroying himself. I stood at Haystack Rock that evening, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors Dad taught me to name. Vermilion, amber, that soft purple he could never quite describe. The wind carries his voice from memory. Sometimes letting go is the strongest choice. The tears finally come, hot against cold cheeks. Not for Dylan or the inheritance or even Dad. For the daughter who spent 29 years trying to earn love that should have been freely given. My phone chimes with an email from Mr. Foster. The subject line reads, "Urgent, additional will provision discovered." The attachment reveals Dad's final chess move. A hidden codicil written in his precise teacher's hand. If either child harasses or harms the other, their portion of the inheritance shall be forfeit. I close my eyes, feeling the last weight lift from my shoulders. Even in death, Dad made sure I would be protected. He knew. He always knew. The waves crash against Haystack Rock, eternal as family secrets and twice as powerful. I deleted Dylan's latest voicemail without listening. Tomorrow, I'll call Mr. Foster. Tonight, I let the ocean remind me that some forces can't be fought. They can only be navigated. Dad taught me that too on our last trip to this beach. The tide always turns, Allie. The trick is knowing when to swim and when to let it carry you to safer shores. The next morning, the mahogany conference table gleamed under fluorescent lights as I spread the documentation across its surface. Each photo, each printed message, each security report forms another nail in Dylan's coffin. Mr. Foster adjusts his reading glasses, examining the evidence with methodical precision. Your father included this codicil for a reason. He taps the original will with one wrinkled finger. The language is quite specific about harassment nullifying inheritance rights. The wind rattles the office windows, but I barely notice the sound. My attention fixes on the careful stack of papers documenting every incident. Dylan appearing at City Hall, his fingers digging into my arm in the parking lot, his face contorted with rage as security escorts him out. The trust board will need to review everything. Mr. Foster's voice carries the weight of 30 years of estate law. But given the evidence, I expect they'll rule in your favor. A knock at the door announces his secretary. She carries a manila envelope branded with the logo of Walker Investment Group, Dylan's firm. This just arrived by courier, Mr. Foster. The envelope contains a single sheet of company letterhead. My eyes scan the formal text. Dylan Blake placed on administrative leave pending internal investigation. Seems your brother's behavior has attracted his employer's attention. Mr. Foster sets the letter beside the growing stack of evidence. Would you like to proceed with the transfer to charity as discussed? The question hangs in the air. Through the window, I watch holiday shoppers hurry past, their breath visible in the winter air. Dad loved this time of year. His classroom always smelled like peppermint and chalk dust in December. Yes, the word comes out steady, certain. The women's shelter needs the funding more than Dylan needs another sports car. Mr. Foster nods, reaching for the necessary forms. The scratch of his pen provides percussion for my thundering heart. A commotion in the lobby draws our attention. Through the frosted glass, a familiar silhouette materializes. Sir, you can't go in there. The secretary's protest barely precedes Dylan's dramatic entrance. He clutches a bouquet of roses, his Italian suit slightly rumpled. Allie, please. His voice breaks on the plea. I just want to talk, to make things right. Security appears behind him, but Dylan plays to his audience. Tears glisten in his eyes as he extends the flowers. You're my sister. We can work this out. I remain seated, hands folded in my lap. The evidence suggests otherwise. Evidence? He laughs, but the sound holds no humor. Family doesn't gather evidence against family. You made your choice when you started stalking me at work. His mask slips for just a moment, a flash of the rage I've come to know so well. But he recovers, turning to Mr. Foster with a practiced smile. This is all a misunderstanding. Allie's always been sensitive. Mr. Blake. Mr. Foster's tone could freeze hell. Your presence here violates the restraining order. These gentlemen will escort you out. You'll regret this. Dylan's voice drops to a whisper as security approaches. Blood is thicker than water, sis. I wait until the door closes behind him before speaking. How soon can we complete the transfer? Mr. Foster pulls up the charity's documentation on his computer. The paperwork should be cleared by the end of the week, though I suspect your brother will attempt to challenge it. Let him try. I gather the evidence into my briefcase. I learned from the best how to document everything. The local paper sits folded on Mr. Foster's desk. Its headline catches my eye: Investment Banker Stalks Sister at Government Office. Below, a grainy security photo shows Dylan's rage, twisted face as he confronts me in the parking lot. My phone buzzes with a text from Linda at work. Security footage released. You okay? Another message arrives from an unknown number. How dare you humiliate your brother like this? The whole family is disgusted, Aunt Patricia. I block the number without responding. Mr. Foster clears his throat. The trust board just emailed. They've frozen your brother's assets pending investigation into some irregularities. What kind of irregularities? Client funds appear to be missing from his investment accounts. The State Banking Commission is involved. 3 days later, at my office, the roses Dylan brought lie abandoned on a side table, already wilting. Dad kept a rose garden behind our house, carefully tending each bush. The thorns protect the beauty, he'd say, just like family should protect each other. My phone lights up with a video message from Dylan. His face fills the screen, tears streaming down his cheeks. I never meant for this to happen. Please, Allie. I understand now. I was wrong. Behind his performance, I catch a glimpse of his condo's marble countertops, the ones he bragged about at Dad's funeral. Paid for with stolen money, apparently. That same day at work, the office door opens again, admitting a uniformed police officer. Miss Blake, we need to ask you some questions about Dylan Blake's financial activities. Of course. I close my briefcase, the evidence safely locked inside. I've learned to keep very detailed records. The officer's notebook appears. When did you first notice suspicious behavior with your father's accounts? Through the window, I watch Dylan's Mercedes pull away from the curb. He doesn't look back at the building. He never looks back at the wreckage he leaves behind. Let me tell you about Christmas 3 years ago, I begin. When Dad noticed his business account was short $15,000. The roses continue to wilt on the side table, dropping blood-red petals onto the polished wood. Some things, once broken, can never be made whole again. Sometimes that's for the best. A week later, a letter arrives from the county jail. Dylan's handwriting sprawls across the envelope, less confident than his usual arrogant scrawl. I hold it over my shredder, hesitating. Some things are better left unread, Dad always said. You don't need to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. The letter disappears into the shredder's hungry teeth. Outside my window, the rain continues to fall, washing the world clean. A month later, the visiting room smells like industrial cleaner and sweat. A guard leads me past rows of reinforced glass panels, each one framing a story of bad choices and desperation. Mine sits at booth 12, orange jumpsuit bright against gray concrete walls. Dylan's hands rest on the metal counter, shackles glinting under fluorescent lights. Dark circles rim his eyes, his Italian suits and perfect hair replaced by prison stubble and hollow cheeks. His lawyer hovers beside him like a well-dressed vulture. I pick up the phone, its plastic worn smooth by thousands of conversations just like this one. Allie, his voice cracks. Thank you for coming. Tears pool in his eyes, and I remember Christmas mornings years ago teaching him to ride his bike, bandaging scraped knees. But those memories blur against security footage of him stalking through City Hall parking lots, his voicemail threats playing in my head. I was consumed by jealousy. His shoulders shake. You were always Dad's favorite. Every time he looked at you with pride, I felt invisible. The lawyer slides a paper toward the glass. We have a settlement offer. Drop the inheritance claim and Mr. Blake will withdraw his complaints about workplace harassment. I study Dylan's face, the same face I've known since he was born, the same eyes that sparkled with mischief when we built blanket forts, the same mouth that now twists with calculation beneath his tears. Prison is killing me, Allie. His fingers press against the glass. Have mercy, we're still family. My bag sits heavy in my lap. I unzip it slowly, pull out Dad's leather journal. The pages fall open to a dog-eared entry. Dylan refuses to take responsibility, I read aloud. Each crisis brings new excuses, new blame. I fear I've failed him by protecting him too long. Dylan's lawyer shifts uncomfortably. I continue pulling items from my bag, a manila folder thick with time-stamped photos, printed social media posts calling me fake family. Screenshots of text messages to mutual friends poisoning every relationship I had. Security footage from City Hall. I lay each piece of evidence against the glass like playing cards. Voice recordings of your threats, all legally obtained. You vindictive witch? Dylan lunges forward, shackles clanking. Guards step closer as spittle flecks the glass between us. His lawyer retreats, briefcase clutched to his chest. I don't flinch. Years of his tantrums taught me stillness. The inheritance transfers to the women's shelter tomorrow. My voice stays quiet, steady. Dad's favorite charity. They're starting a program for stalking victims. You can't do this. His mask shatters completely. I'll tell everyone what you really are. You already did. I stand, smooth my skirt. That's why you're here. The headlines will run tomorrow. Stalker brother's inheritance goes to women's shelter. His investment firm already cut ties. His licenses hang by threads. The careful reputation he built in Portland lies in ruins. I leave him raging against reinforced glass, guards' hands on his shoulders. In the parking lot, spring sunshine warms my face. My phone buzzes, a text from the shelter director expressing gratitude, plans for the new program taking shape. 3 months later, his parole officer calls. Early release for good behavior, must stay 500 miles away. He's changed, the officer says. Prison can do that to a person. I think of Dylan behind the glass, his tears turning to fury when manipulation fails. Some people change, others just get better at pretending. I hang up and walk to my window. Waves crash against the coast, constant and clean. Like Dad always said, sometimes the strongest choice is knowing when to walk away. The restraining order sits in my desk drawer, legally binding. 500 miles of mandatory distance. But the real distance, the one that matters, was crossed the moment he decided blood meant more than love. Some questions don't need answers. Some bridges burn for a reason. And some inheritance has nothing to do with money at all. The morning sun paints ribbons of gold across my office window at Seaside City Hall. My business card, still fresh from the printer, catches the light. Allison Blake, planning director. A year after the inheritance drama, the words still bring a smile to my face. Outside my window, waves crash against the Oregon shore. Their steady rhythm a daily reminder of why I chose this place. My cottage perches on the cliffs above the Pacific, where mornings start with the cry of seagulls and end with spectacular sunsets. No sirens, no unexpected visitors, no shadows lurking in parking lots. The intercom buzzes. Miss Blake, your 10 o'clock is here. Sarah Miller sits across from me now, fingers twisting a tissue. 24, wearing clothes too expensive for a small-town bank teller, she reminds me of myself a year ago. That same haunted look, the constant glancing at the door. My brother thinks the house should be his. Her voice breaks. Mom always said everything would be split equally, but Thomas claims, he claims, that blood matters more than anything else? The words slip out before I can stop them. Her head snaps up, eyes wide. How did you know? I touch the frame on my desk, angled so visitors can see it. Dad and me at my college graduation, his proud smile warming the photo. Let me tell you a story about inheritance, Sarah. About how sometimes the most valuable things we inherit aren't measured in dollars. An hour later, she leaves with dry eyes and the number of a good estate lawyer. Linda pokes her head in after Sarah exits. Lunch crowd heading to Pacific Way Bakery. You coming? The invitation still warms me. A year ago, I ate alone at my desk, afraid of imposing. Now my calendar is filled with coffee dates, movie nights, weekend hikes with friends who chose me, not out of obligation, but genuine affection. Wouldn't miss it. I grab my coat, the soft wool a comfort against the spring chill. At our usual corner table, surrounded by the scent of fresh bread and coffee, Linda raises her mug, to choosing happiness over history. The others join in, Mark from accounting with his infectious laugh, Rebecca from Parks and Rec, who walked me to my car every evening during those dark months, James from IT, who helped block Dylan's emails. My chosen family built one kindness at a time. That evening, I pulled into the women's shelter parking lot for my weekly volunteer shift. The brick building used to intimidate me. Now it feels like a second home, my father's inheritance flowing through its programs, creating ripples of change I never imagined. Carol, one of our regulars, waves from the front desk. Your support group starts at 10. Full house tonight. The meeting room fills quickly. Some faces I recognize, others new, all carrying stories of family bonds twisted into weapons. I arrange the chairs in our usual circle, remembering my first therapy session with Dr. Rodriguez, how impossible healing seemed then. "I'm Allison," I begin, my voice steady. "A year ago, I sat where you're sitting, wondering if I was selfish for choosing peace over family. Questioning if I deserved better." I pause, meeting their eyes. "Today, I'm here to tell you that you do deserve better. That sometimes the bravest thing isn't staying, it's walking away." The next day, driving home along the coastal highway from work, I detour to the cemetery. The spring air carries the scent of fresh-cut grass and salt spray as I place lilies on Dad's grave. Purple irises bloom along the path, his favorite, the ones he planted in our front yard every spring. "You love my cottage, Dad." I trace the letters of his name. "The garden's small, but the herbs are thriving. Remember how you taught me about companion planting? Basil next to tomatoes, marigolds to keep the pests away?" The wind rustles through nearby trees, carrying memories of his voice. "Nature knows about balance, Allie, about what helps things grow and what holds them back." A text lights up my phone, Dylan's firm in Miami conducting another audit, his new job filing tax returns, so far from his dreams of high finance. Aunt Patricia's Christmas card returned unopened last month. The old family photos tucked away in a closet, no longer needed to prove I belong. Standing here, watching the sunset paint the headstones in soft amber light, I finally understand what Dad meant about balance, about how letting go of poisoned roots allows new growth to flourish. I kept my promise, Dad. My fingers brushed the cool granite one last time. I chose peace. The breeze wraps around me like an embrace, carrying the scent of spring flowers and possibility. Ahead, my cottage lights glow against the darkening sky, beckoning me home. Not to the home I was born into, or even the one I was adopted into, but the one I built for myself, plank by plank, choice by choice. Walking away, I hear his voice in the wind, clear as the day he first taught me to ride a bike. "That's my girl." Some people spend their whole lives trying to earn love from those who never learn to give it. Some inherit money, property, stocks. But standing here, breathing in the salt air and freedom, I know I inherited something far more precious: the strength to walk away, the wisdom to choose peace, and the courage to build something beautiful from the ashes of what burned. Tomorrow, I'll wake to the sound of waves. I'll water my herbs, chat with neighbors, and help another Sarah find her way to freedom. Small moments, building one upon another like shells on the shore, creating a life as vast and peaceful as the ocean itself.